And Raju Mataji and Shreyas and Siddharth, you all can start. Mataji, maybe try keeping the phone closer to your voice because the sound is not so good.
What is it, Prabhu?
Just maybe keep the phone closer to your voice, to your voice, because the sound of the drum is very loud and we cannot hear you sing. So just keep it closer to your voice.
You can't hear us, Prabhu?
We can just hear the drum, nothing else. So if you can just keep it closer to your voices, the phone closer to your singing and away from the drum.
Can I also suggest one thing? What you can do, Raji Mataji?
Sorry, Prabhu.
What you can do is, I see that you're joining on Skype, on the internet. So maybe you can, if you're singing, you can call it through the phone. And so the voice is way clearer if you were to sing through the phone versus joining. And then when you join through the phone, just call into the number. Don't call in through Skype or whatever this is. Okay? So call in directly on the phone with that number, the one stop number or whatever you call it, one click number. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And then when you do that, you can still keep your video on, but you can mute yourself. So then we can see you, but we can hear you on the phone versus on the laptop. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Can you give me like a minute?
Take your time. Take your time. That's fine.
One second.
Yeah. So I was telling, you remember in the last class that we had, I was saying that, this shows that we are following parampara because we never get the audio right in the first try. So this is very good. This is really good news.
Yes, it's a process of Shravanam, right? We are
we got
trying to perfect it.
Hear many times before we get it right.
Nice mridanga playing, Siddharth. Nice flute. So just so everyone knows, Maharaj will come at 12 o'clock, which is 12 o'clock EST, 11 o'clock CST. Right. So we're having kirtan for another about 15 minutes, and then we'll do that. After the boys sing, if someone else wants to sing, they can also sing.
Sure. Okay. Everybody able to hear me as well? Okay. Is everybody able to hear me? Anybody able to hear me? Oh, okay. Wonderful. Okay. I'll just call into my phone as well, so I just wanted to make sure. All right. Okay. Judy, it's so nice to see you after like forever. How are you doing? Russell Prabhu, you might be on mute. There you go. Judy, it's really nice to see you. Haribol.
You too.
Very nice. All right. So Raji, you ready? Mataji? Everybody ready? Are you calling in? If you've called in on the phone, then press *6 to unmute yourself first. Otherwise, we won't be able to hear you. Yeah. On the phone, press *6, unmute, and then you should be all set.
Yes, Prabhu. We were doing that.
Perfect. We're able to hear you now. Brilliant.
All right. Okay. Okay, we'll all start again.
Haribol, Prabhupada ki jai. This sounds very wonderful, very clear, and so melodious, so melodious. Such a nice kirtan. Thank you for inspiring us.
Oh, thank you, Prabhu. Sorry for all the technical difficulties.
No, not at all. Even the first time it was very nice. It was just the drum was a bit too loud, but this time it was perfect. And
Thank you, Prabhu.
very nice chanting, very nice kirtan. Pandit Srivas Prabhu, I'll now turn it over to you. So I think someone from Cincinnati can do kirtan, and then you can introduce Maharaj.
Oh, okay. All right. Since we have only 5 or 6 minutes, instead of coordinating, I'll just do a quick 5-6 minute thing, and then is Maharaj already here? Probably not yet, right? Oh yeah, Maharaj is already here. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. I can see Maharaj here, but I can't really. Okay, maybe he's still joining. All right, so I'll just do a quick 5-minute thing, and then as soon as then Maharaj joins, we'll do it. Okay?
Okay, wonderful.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Jai Shila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Yay.
Okay. All right. Let me see if Maharaj. Oh, there you go. Prabhu, can you please spotlight Maharaj in the previous? Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear Maharaj. Please accept our humble obeisances unto the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and to yourself. So, welcome to our program. Devotees, we are extremely fortunate to have His Holiness Bhakti Vasudeva Swami Maharaj, who has joined us all the way from Vrindavan, actually today, to give us his association as well as some guidance and some advice, and to help us accelerate our spiritual growth. As it is very difficult for us to make any progress without in the mercy of the Vaishnavas, and especially if we have the opportunity and the good fortune to have the association and guidance from senior Vaishnavas like Maharaj, then this is an occasion of very rarity. It is a very very rare occasion, as well as an occasion of great fortune for us. So a couple of quick words of formal words of announcement for or introduction for Maharaj. And then informally also, I wanted to share a couple of things. So His Holiness Bhakti Vasudeva Swami Maharaj, he spent over 30 years as a monk in the Krishna consciousness movement. He joined ISKCON in Nigeria, in Lagos in 1984. And he was initiated by His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj in 1986. And he steered many projects in the early days of the movement in West Africa under His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. And for example, just a few months after his initiation, he became a member of the management committee, and then he became the president of the Lagos state chapter of ISKCON. And in 1990, he served as the regional secretary for Nigeria and the West African sub-region. And in February 2009, he received a sannyas initiation from His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj in Mayapur in India. And then since then, Maharaj has been traveling all over the world, and he's been sharing his experience, his realizations, and his message of love and devotion to the Lord. And he possesses a very, very unique ability to preach to intellectuals. One of the things about Maharaj is that he has a PhD, and I believe in economics. And he presents his message to all the strata of society, but especially to folks from the academia, to a lot of devotees who are on the intellectual side, and by presenting the Vedic philosophy in a very easily digestible way to his audience. So that was the formal part of the introduction. Informally, Maharaj is an epitome of kindness. I remember when he was here in Cincinnati, there were so many snags in the program that, we were hosting for him. Somebody else had rented the center and so on and so forth. So long story short, the program that was supposed to start at a certain time started like 1 hour later. And there were very few people in attendance. And then people kept coming in and out and so on. And Maharaj, he embodied what is called, the Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. He was always peaceful. And when the program started, he was so compassionate, so merciful. He just accepted everything. He just went with the flow. And he gave such wonderful guidance and advice to all of us. He also took the time to talk to us specifically about some of our needs. So it wasn't just like a, one story fits all or one shoe size for everybody. He was very particular about different people who were asking him different types of questions. And I personally find his advice so incredibly helpful in my own spiritual life. So what I would request from everybody is that let's make the best use of this opportunity and then try to ask Maharaj, very particular questions and clarifications that are bothering us in our lives, that are helpful for us in order for our own personal spiritual growth. Okay? But before we do all that, let us please unmute ourselves and welcome Maharaj by chanting Hari Bol 3 times. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol. Hari Bol.
Maharaj,
So I'm happy to be part of this gathering this morning, afternoon, right there in Cincinnati. In India, here is in Vrindavan is 9:30. So in the evening. So
over here, Maharaj, I'm so sorry, but I just wanted to clarify. So actually, Indianapolis, ISKCON Indianapolis is the main city in attendance here. Cincinnati is also there. So it's really a tale of 2 cities, well, 3 cities if you consider Evansville as well. So we are really like 3 or 4 cities together in attendance today to hear from you.
So that's interesting. So this, I was requested by you by the devotees there to discuss or to share something on the source of all incarnation, Krishna, the source of all incarnations, Krishna. So that is an intriguing topic because for me, I will say I will tag this topic creation from applied Vedanta perspective. I say applied Vedanta perspective because the Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Vyasadev's Bhagavatam is a commentary of the Vedanta, and basically all literature, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other literatures which are expounding the philosophy of bhakti or devotion to the Supreme, they are essentially applied Vedanta literature. So we recollect how the Srimad Bhagavatam came to be. Yeah, we know that it is a commentary by Srila Vyasadeva on the Vedanta Sutra, and it is also understood that when Srila Vyasadeva wrote the Vedic literatures, or the Vedic literature, he was not satisfied. He was feeling some type of a vacuum in him after performing this wonderful service of writing, compiling the Vedic literature. Just, when people do a huge service, they feel satisfied, they feel rejuvenated, they feel jubilant, they're vibrant, because the service gives them that inner satisfaction. But when Vyasadeva wrote the Vedas or compiled the Vedic literature, he was not satisfied. He was feeling some type of, vacuum, some gap in his literary exposition, or in his service, in the literary service. He was feeling some gap. And when we feel a gap, or when there is a gap in any situation, that gap has to be bridged. In academic circles, it's sometimes referred to as a lacuna, a gap. And a gap is also a prompt for an investigation, for self-assessment, to be able to create an enhancement of even a prevailing good situation. Because no matter how good a situation may be, there is also still a chance for enhancement. So Vyasadeva was a little disturbed, worried that he's done this wonderful service and is not still feeling some satisfaction. And so then his spiritual master, by the mercy of Narada Muni, spiritual master revealed to him he is not sufficiently glorified the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Stu, Bhagavan, Swayam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is that, although he has given so much of elaboration about different type of knowledge acquisition, but that he had not sufficiently glorified the Supreme Lord. And that is how Vyasadeva went about making a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is focused on Lord Krishna and his devotees. So in this very chapter, Canto 1, Chapter 3, it's about the applied Vedanta perspective on creation. I say the perspective of the applied Vedanta because the Srimad Bhagavatam is an applied Vedantic literature. And for the purpose of glorifying the Lord, he had elaborately written so much of details. Specifically in this chapter, it's about creation. Because for those who are not coming from Hindu background, some of us are coming from Christian backgrounds, the Westerners, and we understand creation to be from the Christian theological approach. They say something else. They say God created the world for like 6 days, and then the 7th day he rested. Now, when we go into science, they also have their perspective. They have different theories. They have the Big Bang theory, which basically implies that this perfect universe, just happened by an accident. There are also other theories in the scientific world, like we have one of these evolutionaries who propose that, you know, we've been evolving from apes. But if you study of all of these different perspectives to creation, if you make a comparative study with
Okay.
what is
I was able to keep that. I really wanted a photo of it.
if you compare what has been given in the Vedic literature, in the Bhagavatam, specifically in this a commentary of Srila Vyasadeva, and you know, this chapter 3 is like giving us the background of the creation. And Canto 5 makes it really very, very complex. Canto 5 gives a very complex, you know, analysis of the creation. So here, what we really need to understand is how Krishna first expands himself to Balaram. And Balaram is considered like a second Krishna. And Balaram expands into Mahasankarshan. And then from there, we get into, you know, these narrations or this narrative in this very chapter about the Karana Dakashaya Vishnu, Garbo Dakashaya Vishnu, and Shiru Dakashaya Vishnu. So I want to read text 5 so that we can have some insight about what we are explaining. So first of all, we have to understand that the process of creation is very far from the original Krishna. Very, very far away. You see, God has no business of coming to, you know, embark on creation. Krishna's business is, you know, playing flute and, you know, dancing with the gopis. That is the mystery of God. He has no business. He has nothing to do. He has nothing to do. Not to speak of embarking on creation. So Krishna just expands into Balaram, and then Balaram expands to Mahasankarshan, and then we get into the Mahavishnu or Karana Dakashaya Vishnu. And then from Karana Dakashaya Vishnu, there's an expansion again to Garba Dakashaya Vishnu, and then on the expansion to Shiru Dakashaya Vishnu. So these Vishnus are responsible for the creation of the material cosmos. So besides these three Vishnus, there is another avatar or another expansion, which is the Sesha or Seshanag, because we can't separate the Seshanag from these three Purusa avatars. Why? Because Seshanag makes the provision for Mahavishnu to lie. Seshanag becomes, you know, he assists with making provisions like the Lord's bed and other things. And so the Bhagavatam gives us just a graphic information, such a graphic details that any intelligent person who reads it will think twice and be able to eventually accept that, yeah, this seems authentic, this seems reliable, this seems, it seems natural, it seems really factual. So in text 5, I'll just read the text here. Etam nanavataranam nindanam bijam avyayam yasyam samsena sijante deva tiram naradaya. This form, or the second manifestation of the Purusa, is the source of indestructible seed, bees, or bija. This second Purusa avatar is the source and indestructible seed of multifarious incarnations. Multifarious means many and different. Multifarious incarnations within the universe. From the particles and portions of this form, different living entities like demigods, men, and others are created. A purpose. The Purusa, after creating innumerable universes in the Mahatattva, entered in each of them as the second Purusa, Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. When the first Purusa avatar is Karana Dakashaya Vishnu. In other words, that is the Mahavishnu that is responsible for the other manifestations or the other expansions. When he saw that within the universe there was only darkness and space, in place, he filled half of the universe with water from his own perspiration and laid himself down on the same water. This water is called Garbhodaka. Then, from his navel, the stem of the lotus flower sprouted. And on the flower petals, the birth of Brahma, or the master engineer of the universal plan, took place. Brahma became the engineer of the universe, and the Lord himself took charge of the maintenance of the universe as Vishnu. Brahma was generated from Rajogun, or Prakriti, or the mode of passion in nature. And Vishnu became the Lord of the mode of goodness. Vishnu, being transcendental to all the modes, is always aloof from materialistic affection. This has already been explained This has already been explained. From Brahma, there is Rudra, Shiva, who is in charge of the mode of goodness, mode of ignorance or darkness. He destroys the whole creation by the will of the Lord. Therefore, all three, namely Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, are incarnations of Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. From Brahma, keep in mind, we're talking about the description being given here in the Prabhupada by Prabhupada reflects the fact that Garbhodakasaya Vishnu is the source of this Brahma, Shiva, But we need to also understand that Garbhodakashaya Vishnu has his own source, and that is the Karana Dakashaya Vishnu. It's a little bit complex, complex explication, or complex details, but we need to hear the complexity of the creation from the perspective of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so, when the Lord or the Mahavishnu lied in the causal ocean, and even this causal ocean is just, from his own sweat, from his own perspiration. And he went into a type of sleep, a yoga nidra or a mystic sleep. And then he went into a mystic sleep. So as he was sleeping, when you're sleeping, you're breathing. As he was sleeping, it was in yoga nidra. And then as he was breathing, universes were emanating from his nostrils, and from his pores. Our pores, we have small sweat when we engage in some physical activity. But the Lord's pores, it's not just some small sweat. It forms like, a causal ocean. And from his pores, from his nostrils, as he's breathing, there are universes that are being generated. And each and every of those universes, Karana expands himself into Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and enters into each and every of those universes. And the universes they are uncountable. We can't count them. They are in trillions or zillions or whatever. And so the Lord enters into every universe that generates the of current. And in that universe, that is what is being described in the secondary phase, which is the description that is being given here. So we have Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, who is lying on a partially filled universe with water. And that water is coming from his own pores. And so they are sprouted a lotus. And on top of this lotus, that's where Lord Brahma manifested. Lord Brahma is self-born. Lord Vishnu is his father and his mother. This is an interesting scenario because when we understand how Lord Brahma is so genius, such a genius, why would be the surprise when he was self-manifest from Lord Vishnu himself, from Garbhodakashaya Vishnu himself. And so the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu doesn't end there. Lord Brahma becomes the engineer. All of these elements of creation were generated by the Lord himself. But it was Lord Brahma who assembled these different elements, this raw, in research, is raw materials. We have earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. This is what our bodies are constituted of. But these bodies are creations of the secondary creator, which is Lord Brahma. And all the elements we are provided, or we are manifested by the Lord himself, by Krishna in the form of his Purusa avatar. And so, Lord Brahma, in some cases, even, I remember a case when I was reading from one of the very researchers, how one of Lord Brahma's sons, because even his own sons, some of them, they think that Lord Brahma is the supreme personality of Godhead because he has 4 heads and he's so powerful, he's so intelligent, he has 3 color gear, past, present, and future, he knows. And so I remember a scenario when one of his sons, I don't remember his name, but this Lord Brahma's son, he saw Lord Brahma chanting on Mala, chanting japa. So he was surprised because all along he was thinking his father is the supreme creator, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. But now he saw his father doing japa. So he approached him and humbly he made his case. He said, "My dear father, my dear master, all along I thought that you are the be all and end all. But I'm seeing you chanting Mala. Do you, please share with me, who is your object of worship? We are all worshiping you and we thought that you are the supreme." But yes, Brahma is the supreme of every material universe. I say every material universe because there are zillions of universes. And each and every universe, there is one Lord Brahma. And so, his son, this is his son, the name tries to come and then he flips off. This is son asked Lord Brahma, and so he was very truthful. Lord Brahma was very truthful to his son. He didn't claim that, well, maybe you're not seeing properly. I am actually the supreme. But he was very truthful to his son. And Prabhupada mentions in the Bhagavad Gita, 10 chapter, text 4 to 5, in the purport, Prabhupada defined truthfulness. Prabhupada said that truthfulness means being able to present the facts as they are without any adulteration for the benefit of others. Telling the truth for the benefit of others. But that is a big challenge in the 21st century. Majority of people are not truthful. But Lord Brahma was truthful to his son. He said, yeah, I remember his son's name, Pipalada. Pipalada was the one who was having this inquiry, was making this inquiry with Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma told Pipalada that, yeah, I have an object of worship. I am not the supreme. I am the supreme of this universe, but there are so many universes. I am just the secondary creator. I'm just an engineer. See, engineer goes to the mall, to the engineering malls, and then he buys all of the materials. If he's a structural engineer, he gets the irons and the bars and all these things to set things up. If he's a civil engineer, he gets all of the materials to set up the building. But those materials that they use in setting up the building, the structure, they are not the creator. So Lord Brahma was just open to his son that, look, I am not the absolute truth. I am a secondary creator. So in each and every universe, we'll find that the Lord Brahma of our own universe has 4 heads. Why? Because our universe is so small. And we have, four directions. There are universes that are presided over by Lord Brahmas of 1,000 heads. And we find this reconciliation, or we find this conciliation in the Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto, when Lord Brahma came to pay obeisances to the Lord. Lord Brahma wanted to visit the Lord. And then the security said, Lord Vishnu told the messenger who came to give him that Lord Brahma wanted to see him. And so he said, go and ask which of the Brahmas. So when Lord Brahma was asked that, this is the message from Vishnu, that which of the Lord Brahmas? So he thought, wait a minute, are there other Lord Brahmas? I thought I'm the only one. Anyway, when eventually Lord Brahma had access to the Lord, to Lord Vishnu, so Vishnu, invited other Lord Brahmins. And then so many other Lord Brahmins were coming, once with 1,000 heads, one with so many, 10 heads and 100 heads. And the Brahma of our universe is just having only 4 heads. So then, when he saw all of these other Brahmas who were, so to say, having a greater responsibility than him, then he realized that, so I'm not the only Lord Brahma that is working for the Lord. So let me read further this on the purport. So from Brahma, the other demigods are like Daksha, Marishi, Manu, and many others become incarnated to generate living entities within the universe. These are Prajapatis. This Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is glorified in the Vedas, in the hymns of Garbhasruti, which begin with the description of the Lord as having thousands of heads, etc. The Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is the Lord of the universe. And although he appears to be lying within the universe, he is also transcendental. In other words, he is within the universe, but is not affected by the modes of nature or, whatever that is going on, the permutations of the modes of nature, he is not affected. This also has already been explained. The Vishnu, who is the plenary portion of the Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, is a super soul, and that is referred to as Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. You know, we have the super soul, so that is an expansion. The super soul is an expansion of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Super soul is technically called Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. So, the three features of the original Purusha are thus understood. And all the incarnations within the universe are emanations from this Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. Kshirodakashaya Vishnu has his own abode. It's called Svetadvip, the Svetadvip Dvip. And that's where we have the ocean of milk. In different millennia, there are different incarnations. And they are innumerable. In other words, you can't count them. Although some of them are very prominent, such as Matsya, Kuma, Varaha, Rama, and Shima, Vamana, and many others. These incarnations are called Lila incarnations or Lila avatars. Then there are qualitative incarnations. Qualitative incarnations are referred to as the Guna avatars, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who take charge of the different modes of material nature. Because they take charge of the different modes of nature, the Vishnu is in charge of the mode of goodness, Lord Brahma is in charge of the mode of passion, because the passion has to do with creativity. So if you're not passionate, you cannot be creative. You cannot be a creative thinker. You cannot really be a very good engineer. Lord Brahma, and Lord Brahma, even on our planet, we have so many neo Lord Brahmas, engineers. All of the engineers on the planet could be referred to as neo modern Lord Brahmas, small Lord Brahmas, because they have to create some things, manufacture some things, create airplanes. Lord Vishnu is not different from the personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is the marginal position between the personality of Godhead and the living entities, or jivas. Brahma is always jiva tattva. The highest pious living being, or the greatest devotee of the Lord, is empowered with the potency of the Lord for creation. And he is called Brahma or Lord Brahma. His power is like the power of the sun reflected in valuable stones and jewels. When there is no such living being to take charge of the post of Lord Brahma, the Lord himself takes responsibility, becomes Lord Brahma, and takes charge of the post. In other words, anybody can become a Lord Brahma. It's a position that the Lord can appoint anyone by dint of his pious merit, by dint of his staunch austerities and devotion, he could become a Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma, just like he confessed to people that his son, he's just a servant. And we find in the Brahma Samhita, all of the prayers of Lord Brahma, he ended up with Govindam Adipurusam Tamaham Bhajami, that I worship Govinda. So, Lord Brahma does not mimic it without mixing words. He told his some people that, Lord, Govinda is my object of worship. So, this is the nature of a devotee of the Lord. They are devotees of the Lord, they are very truthful, they are open, they are straightforward in their talks. You can trust them because they are not politicians. Prabhupada mentioned again in the Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, text 4 to 5, in the purport, that the devotee of the Lord is very truthful. Whereas the politicians, you can't expect truthfulness from a politician. And also, in most cases, the Vaishyas, they have to make some profit. So we find that it's only a devotee of the Lord that can be truthful. And that's the position of Lord Brahma. He was very truthful. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary living being. He is a plenary portion of the Lord. But because Lord Shiva is in direct touch with material nature, he is not exactly in the same transcendental position as Lord Vishnu. The difference is that between milk and curd, the difference is like, differentiating between milk and curd. Curd is a milk product, but you cannot say that you can use curd the same way you use milk. You cannot drink curd, but you can drink milk. Yet, curd is a product of milk. But, there's a little bit of a difference. That is the position of Lord Shiva. The next incarnations are the Manus, within one day's duration of the life of Brahma, which is calculated by our solar year as 4,300,000 times 1,000 years. There are 14 Manus. Therefore, there are 420 Manus in 1 month of Brahma and 5,040 Manus in 1 year of Brahma. Brahma lives for 100 years of his age. And therefore, there is 5,040 times 100, or 504,000 Manus in the duration of Lord Brahma's life. There are innumerable universes within one Brahma. In each and every universe, there is a Brahma. And these universes are created during the breathing time of the Purusa avatar. When Karuna Daksha Vishnu lies on the causal ocean and starts breathing, these universes are generated. See how the Lord does amazing creation, even the universe. So the universes, they come from his body. And so at the end of the creation, the universes again, they go back into his body. It's amazing. So it's not that, and this is it's like nothing. He goes to sleep and there's creation. That's he goes to sleep and as he's breathing, the universes are being generated. Therefore, one can simply imagine how many millions of Manus there are during one breath of the Purusa. The Manus who are prominent within this universe are as follows. Jagya as Swayambhuva Manu, Vibhu as Sarusisha Manu, Satyasena as Uttama Manu, Hari as Tamasa Manu, Vaikunta as Revata Manu, Ajita as Satchusha Manu, Vamana as Vivaswata Manu. That means that's the present Manu. Sarvabhauma as Sarvani Manu, Rishabha as Daksha Sarvani Manu, Vishwakshena as Brahma Sarvani Manu, Dhamma Setu as Dhamma Sarvani Manu, Sudama as Ruda Sarvani Manu, Yogeshwar as Deva Sarvani Manu, and Brihad Banu as Indra Sarvani Manu. These are the names of one set of 14 Manus covering 4.3 trillion solar years, as described above. It's a long purport, but it gives us some vivid details about the whole, practically the whole early part of the chapter. Then there are the Yuga avatars, or the incarnations of the millennia. The Yugas are known as the Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. The incarnations of each are of different color. In the Satya Yuga, the color of the incarnation was white. Treta Yuga, the incarnation color was red. And in Dwapara Yuga, incarnation color was blackish. And that's Krishna himself, blackish blue. And in the Kali Yuga, incarnation is yellow, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the point is, all of the incarnations are vividly described in the Vedic literature. Even the next incarnation at the end of the Kali Yuga, Kalki, is described in the Kalki Purana. His parents are mentioned. The city where he was born, right here in India, is described in the Kalki Purana. I have the Kalki Purana. I've been reading it. How it's going to appear is all described. The nurses, the mother's name, the father's name. How even Lord Brahma, Kalki avatar is so funny. He had appeared in forehand. And Lord Brahma sent a message, sent one of his messengers to the parents at the maternity that he should tell the Lord to change his 4 hands into 2 hands so that his pastimes would be juicy. And again, because of the position of Lord Brahma, he's a devotee of the Lord, and he cares about his pastimes. So the Lord changed, Kalki changed, his 400 form into 2 hands. So the beauty of being a devotee of the Lord is inexplicable. And so the Lord even obeys his devotees. And we find out also in all of the incarnations that when they appear, their parents control them. Krishna, Nanda Maharaj would even ask him to go on. Little boy Krishna, Nanda Maharaj would ask him to bring his wooden shoes. And Krishna carried shoes of Nanda Maharaj on his head. So this is devotion. Devotion can capture the Lord, can do anything that, ordinarily speaking, the Lord will not subscribe himself or subscribe to, or will not even resonate with. An incarnation does not declare himself to be an incarnation of the Lord. But great sages agree by the symptoms mentioned in the revealed scriptures. The features of the incarnation and the particular type of mission which he has to execute are described, they are narrated in the revealed scriptures. Apart from the direct incarnations, there are innumerable empowered incarnations. They're called Satya Veta Avatar. They are also mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Such incarnations are directly as well as indirectly empowered. When they are directly empowered, they are called incarnations. But when they are indirectly empowered, they are called vibhutis. Directly empowered incarnations, examples are the Kumaras, Narada Muni, Prithu, Sesha, Ananta, etc. As far as the vibhutis are concerned, they are very explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita in the Vibhuti Yoga chapter. And for all these different types of incarnations, the fountainhead is the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. That is the most important factor here. Incarnations, so many incarnations are there. Lila Avatar, Purusa Avatar, Lila Avatar, Guna Avatar, Satya Vech. But the conclusion Prabhupada gives here is that the fountainhead is Krishna or Vishnu, precisely Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. So, this text and its purport gives us a summary conclusion of the early part of the chapter, which deals with, the creative impetus or creative energy of the Lord. How the Lord actually generated these universes, how we come to be. So if any intelligent person who reads this will be able to, compare it to the Big Bang theory. Because when there is a bomb blast, or when there is a destruction, when there is a disaster, we find people are in dismay, in disarray. And there are destructions that take place, not orderliness like what is happening, what is in the universe, not people who are, so much craftily molded with high intelligent quotient, and they themselves are very creative. They create airplanes. Bombs only destroy. Orderliness comes from another form of orderliness. So the creation of these different universes, they are precisely and correctly delineated to understand the Purusa avatars and their functionalities, how they were able to enable the creation of the universes. And Lord Brahma, secondary creator, facilitated, the secondary creation by bringing the different raw materials together, and then the Lord actually instilling a living entity in these different forms. So I would like to stop here. Maybe there are some comments or some questions. Let's know.
Thank you, Maharaj. if anybody has any questions, they can either put it on the chat or raise their hand and so on. Okay. So I can start with a question, and then hopefully others will catch up as well. So you began by giving the example of Narad Muni and how he was guiding Vyasadeva when Vyasadeva was feeling depressed about writing. Sometimes, Maharaj, I don't know, I feel depressed, but even after like trying my best to do my rounds or my service or sadhana or reading or whatever it is that I should do or can do, I don't not always get happiness. I don't always feel joyful. So what would be the reason for this? Is it because I'm not doing it properly? Is it because maybe there is some lack in association? Is it because I don't know, like how do I get to overcome this?
Thank you. That's a nice concern, a nice question. There are a number of factors that are responsible for that. Like the case of Lord Brahma, he did some service, huge service, but then he was feeling despondent because he did not focus on glorification of the Lord. So, for the devotee also, we can learn from that for us to sustain our, for us to maintain a sustainable happiness, sustainable joy, and bearing in mind that we have so many obligations, so many material duties to perform, and for us to be able to maintain our sanity, our social sanity regarding sustainable happiness, we need to, first of all, we need to see how we have sufficiently glorified the Lord before we go to embark on our material duties. And that is why a number of centers, they encourage their devotees. I find that also very much, prominent in India here. I know in Delhi and other places, in the morning, people who are workers, they go to the temple for Mangarati, they sit down, after the Mangarati, they sit down there to chant their minimum 60 rounds before they go out. In other words, if we effectively manage our 24 hours, we go to bed on time, then we'll be able to wake up on time. And then when we wake up on time, we'll be able to do our first 16 rounds before we go to the office. This might look like strange and challenging and difficult, but yeah, if we practice it, one of the major problems is that we space our japa into the afternoons or evenings, and in the evenings or the afternoons, they are under the auspices of passion and ignorance, and so the japa is not so effective during those periods. And so we don't derive the highest benefits. And therefore, that is not able to facilitate our sustainable joy and happiness. They say the common slogan in our movement is chant and be happy. So yeah, we're chanting, we need to be happy. If we're chanting and we are not happy, we have to investigate, like you're concerned. We have to see what is the problem, what is going on. So we make some self-assessment, and then in the self-assessment, we may find that we need to improve on the periods that we are chanting our japa. And so if we are able to make that, pinpoint that from our self-assessment, then we should go back to the beginning. We should get back to the period when we joined the movement And we were so desperate, we were so enthused, we were so motivated to get up early in the morning to chant before we go out for our work. And when we compare that time to this, to another emergent scenario where the chanting becomes like, you know, a second routine, and it's not actually like our primary objective. No, I mean, for me, I used to have a concept. I don't do anything until I finish my first 16 rounds. And because I have to wake up early in the morning, it becomes easy. So then you find that throughout the day, the devotees who chant in the morning before they go to work, they find, I've got some reports. Sometimes they go to the office and people their colleagues ask them, what happened? What happened? What did you eat? What did you drink? You feel so happy. Yeah, so we could try to see how we make some assessment of our situation and see how we adjust our sadhana, especially our chanting, and adjusting our period of chanting to a suitable period to fall within the Brahma Muhurta hours. It's so important because that keeps us stable, focused, and happy throughout the day as we engage in other activities. Another thing that could cause some stagnation in terms of sustainable happiness is that we need to embark on regular reading. If we read regularly, that also enhances our focus on chanting the holy names. So the reading is very important. And we have to have also quality association. Now, you know, by the mercy of the, you know, modern tech giants, information culture, you know, I'm in Vrindavan, you are in America, and, you know, we are discussing as if we are in the same room. So we could use this type of opportunities to brace up our association, our Sangha. Quality association is very important in our spiritual lives. And service, we have to see how we are conducting ourselves in ways that are favorable to devotional service. We are conducting ourselves, we are doing some services for the pleasure of Lord Krishna every day. Not only on Sundays, not only on Saturdays. Devotional service means every day. And if we don't have any service to perform, we should look for some service to do because we need to do that. If we have deities at home, we should also regulate our deity service. We should be worshiping our deities at specific times. And so the more we treat Krishna at home like a person, like a baby, caring for a baby, the more he gives, the more he reciprocates with high loving energy. So keep in mind that the modes of nature, they impact on us. The mode of passion and ignorance, they impact on us. Whether we like it or not, we are living in a material world governed by the mode of passion and ignorance, and so they impact on us. And so when sometimes we feel bad or we feel dejected, we should not kill ourselves. We should understand that these are the effects of the modes of nature. And so we should see how we are devising some avenues to be able to overcome that by increasing our sadhana quantitatively and qualitatively, especially the japa. So we also have to think about the things we eat. It's so easy to eat something vegetarian, but it's not offered to the Lord. And when we do eat things that are not offered to the Lord, they are not made by devotees, they're not going to be favorable. We're not going to have it easy because things that are not, they may be vegetable, they may be vegetables or grains, but if it is not offered to the Lord, the person who is cooking, if we go to the to the restaurant to just eat vegetarian stuff, those things, they have an effect on us too. So we have to be very meticulous in our devotional life so that we can achieve the highest benefit. If we begin to adjust our lives as if Krishna is watching us all the time, then we can be meticulous. And that will help us in our devotional growth. Because each time we eat things that, say even bread or biscuit or something like that outside, these things, they weigh on our consciousness, and they affect us in due course of time. It creates a cumulative effect. So yeah, sometimes we may feel dejected, we may not feel happy, but we should understand that these are the effects of the modes of material nature. Don't kill yourself. Just see how you revamp your spiritual happiness by getting back to the basis, getting back to chanting early in the morning during the Brahma Muhurta hours, and then you'll be able to have the strength, the energy to face the battle with the modes of nature and the environmental forces.
Thank you, Maharaj. There was a question from Akshay Prabhu. Akshay Prabhu, since you're here, do you want to unmute yourself and put on your video and ask your question? Akshay Prabhu. Okay.
I have a question, Prabhu, if
Yeah, go.
I
Yeah,
could
please
ask
go.
in the meantime. Well,
Sure.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for your very enlightening, very wonderful class. We really enjoyed it. I wanted to ask you, you explained so nicely the supreme position of Krishna. So, especially coming from India, many people come with an altar, and in that altar there's Ganesha, and there's Lord Shiva. And when they become a devotee, they understand their correct position. They understand, okay, Lord Ganesha is a devotee of the Lord, and so he removes obstacles. So if they understand the correct position of everyone, and they are relating with them accordingly, is it okay for these devotees to continue to keep Ganesh and other demigods on the altar? Or would you recommend, no, we just focus rather on Krishna, and then even though we may understand that they are not the supreme being, our altar should be very focused on Krishna. So I just want to know from a practical side, how knowing this knowledge, how should one set up one's altar?
Yeah, that's a nice point you raised. Ideally, our altar should be set up in such a way that they enhance our focus on the Supreme Personality. When people come, we should not force this idea on them. When people become mature, naturally they will focus just on Krishna. So we should encourage everyone to just keep on chanting, and they still are attached to some other deities that should not be a problem. We should just encourage people. Because, I mean, it's like Lord Krishna mentioned the Gita, Param Distra Niva Tante. When someone has a higher taste, they give up the lower taste. So, in due course of time, because these people who are still attached to the devotees, they have them on the altar. With time, they will have a higher taste and they will give up that. So we should not be worried. We should just find the good side, encourage the people on the good side, and then in due course of time, they will come to a higher realization and then set up the altar properly without them.
Thank you, Maharaj. That's actually very nice advice. And some people, they say, when they come to that level, they ask, should I keep my Ganesh? Should I continue keeping him because he's been on my altar, or should I not? In that case, what would be your advice?
Well, again, devotional service is not something that, it's not an imposition. If they still want to keep Ganesh, don't force it. Allow them to use their independence, their free will, and when they become more mature, even the Ganesh, they will not want to put it on the altar. They just want to put, set up their altar just like the Krishna temples, the altars entails.
Thank you. Okay.
How do you do this? Hare Krishna, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you for your lecture. You mentioned that Mahavishnu, as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, enters another aspect of his creation, and thereupon he sweats, and on this sweat he lays down on this water that is his sweat. Now, is this water time? And the reason I ask is this sweat time is because in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto, if I'm not mistaken, there's a mention of the waves of time. So I assume that those waves of time are in somewhat related to the waters of devastation, of which in turn Brahma also encounters and has difficulty accepting the conditions. But the question is this time related to these waters? Is this the same waters of devastation that are spoken, that you spoke about, as far as the Garbhodakshai laying down on his sweat? And is this the waters of time? Is this casual ocean time? That's my question.
All right. Thank you. Now the three Vishnus, Karandakashaya Vishnu, that is the Mahavishnu, and he lies on the coastal ocean. Then as he's breathing, he goes into Yoga Nidra. As he's breathing, the universes are generated. And each and every universe, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, he expands into Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and presides over each and every universe. And so, within each and every universe, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu sweats, and half of the universe is filled with his sweat, water, and from there he lies, and then a lotus flower sprouts from his navel. On top of that lotus flower, Lord Brahma was born. Now, the water that we are talking about here does not have to do with it does not have a relation with time, because the time factor they're talking about is the water of devastation, or the water of when there is when there is devastation. Lord Shiva is responsible for the devastation, and eventually, of course, Lord Mahavishnu, inheres all of the universes. But we're talking about the Kala, what do you call, even Lord Brahma refers to that time factor as the element of destruction. So here we're talking about creation, and it's not about that very time factor that you're referring to. So there are two things. There's destruction and there's creation. And then three things: creation, maintenance, and destruction. So Lord Brahma refers to Lord Krishna as Kalarup. The effect, the rope of time, or the effect of time. So if the living entity or the embodied being chooses to worship Krishna now, he will not be affected by the effect of devastation. But if the living entity does not willingly surrender to Krishna, the living entity will still surrender to Krishna in the form of death. And so, yeah, essentially, we're talking about creation, so we're not talking about that. It's not having a relation with the destruction. It's a different thing. Thank you.
So Maharaj, we had a question in the chat. I'm just going to read that out. So
okay.
The question is, Hare Krishna, this is from Akshay Prabhu. He was having some challenges with his audio. So Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you so much for the wonderful lecture, I guess. I had a couple of questions. Do we see Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali Yoga in all the universes? That's one question. The second one is, does Krishna always appear in all the universes, in Dwapar Yoga, in every Yuga cycle?
If I had you well, there was a little bit of technical hitch here. If I hear you well, you mean in all of the yugas, whether Krishna appears in all of the yugas? Is that what he asked?
In all of the universes, in all of the yugas.
Oh no, Krishna may choose, like Krishna appeared, in the Dwapar Yoga here in our own universe. Now, his next roadshow may be in another universe. He may choose to do what he likes. He has no restrictions. He may choose to go to any universe at any time that he wants. But then the periods of the original Krishna being manifest, besides the other incarnations, the original Krishna being descending, that takes a long time. It's explained also in the Bhagavad Gita and also in the Bhagavatam. But the different incarnations, the Yuga avatars, the Lila avatars, they appear on schedules. And these schedules we're talking about this very universe. Other universes also, the Lord appears, but the delineations given in the Bhagavatam, or even in the text that we're reading, we're talking about it's referring to our universe, because we are not in another universe. So,
okay.
But the Lord appears in all of the universes. They are all his creation. But we don't know much about, what transpires in those universes.
Okay. I had another question. And
okay.
I'll wait for others to see if anybody else has any other questions. And if not, then I'll ask mine. Does anybody else have any other questions? think there was something in the chat. Oh, okay, Akshay. Okay. All right, so I'll ask mine and then let's see. So this actually happened like a few days ago when one devotee shared some information coming from a senior devotee from a senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And I did not really agree with a point of view which was being made over there, right? So how is it okay for me to disagree with if some senior devotee or senior disciple is making a point? And how best can I disagree without being disrespectful or without incurring Vaishnava aparadha?
That's an important question, because a devotee is someone who doesn't want to hurt anyone. So somebody may say something that is not congruent with the teachings or what we have heard or what we have read in the books. What we can do is not to attack the person, but we can send someone who is his peers and speak to him that this I've read in the books, in Prabhupada's books, in this text, and we have to be very graphic about our reference. Here comes a reference that contradicts what the other person has said. We should not, because it's a senior person, we should not confront them. But if it is somebody, look, I like challenges. If I give class, I give a talk, I tell people, hey, I need some challenges, man. Because as a scholar, we embrace challenges. I remember several years ago, that time I've not even gotten my PhD. So I was preaching in academic circles. I saw something that one professor, he was the head of department for religion of a federal university, what he wrote in a journal. So I went to meet the head of the editor of the journal, that what this professor said, and that professor is my friend. Okay, the one who wrote that thing. It was not right. But he said, I didn't go to him to challenge him. I want to meet the editor, and because that is someone like his colleague, to tell him that what this professor said is not right and have evidence of that. And you know what? As a scholar, he said, look, go and write a rejoinder to that his paper. Because, according to Maharaja, Naso Mune, yes, Matanga Bina. You're not a scholar if your opinion is not different. So scholarship entails, we are ready for challenges. But, because that guy was my friend, and if I write a rejoinder refuting what he said, it will not look good, it will look disrespectful. I still have that devotional culture. But if I were just a pure brand scholar without any devotional tinge, I would happily go and write a rejoinder and bring him down. But I refuse to do it. Yeah, because it's not befitting. I'm not just a scholar in the academy. I'm trying to be a devotee. So there's a culture of how to help someone who may say even the wrong thing. I was just reading something also about what Govinda Swami mentioned, a similar thing to this, when you find some senior person says something inappropriate or something that is not sastric. What you can do is to make sure that you don't hurt him. You can ask someone, his senior or his peers, to narrate the episode to him or give the narratives to him so that he could talk to that person. If you're friendly with the person, you can speak with him as a friend, not to hurt him. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj. Mataji is going next with a question. Go ahead, Anandam. Oh, okay. So she was saying to ask on our behalf. Okay. So she's asking, let us assume I have committed a Vaishnav aparadh unknowingly. So I cannot go and ask for forgiveness directly. So then what can I practically do to correct this? Because I understand this can be a huge hindrance to my spiritual progress.
If I hear you correctly, assuming that I committed an aparadh unknowingly, and I'm not feeling secure, I'm not feeling comfortable to go and approach the person to beg for forgiveness. So if you commit aparadh, or if I commit aparadh unknowingly, and then if I realize that I committed an aparadh against this person, it wasn't a conscious effort to commit the aparadh, then I should feel very comfortable to approach the person and tell them that, oh, look, I committed an aparadh against you. I'm so sorry, but it was not intended. Now, if we commit the aparadh and we don't even know the person, suppose, assuming I committed an aparadh against a Vaishnava, and I don't even know the person, unwillingly, I might have committed an aparadh against the person, against someone. Those things are taken care of with the worship of Tulsi. Going around Tulsi, we chant, when we go around Tulsi, we chant the Tulsi prayers. Yani Kanicha Chapapani Brahma Hadat Kanicha. We are praying that offenses, knowingly or unknowingly, I'm begging for forgiveness. And also in the morning, when we come to prayers for like your group, where you don't have morning programs together. So when you come, one of the things that you need to do each time you come together is also to commit everyone to pay obeisances to each other. That also facilitates the diminishing return regarding, aparadhs unknowingly committed. Because we do commit aparadhs whether we like it or not. Unknowingly, we commit aparadhs, we commit offenses. And so, in the formal temples, in the morning, they do Tulsi Puja, and even in your programs, you should be doing Tulsi Puja before the class, so that people have a chance to go around. It's a way of really purifying oneself from offenses that are unknowingly committed. But because we do commit offenses unknowingly. And then also we commit each other, the assembled devotees, we should have a time to say Vancha Kalpatari Byacha Kripa Sundubhya Evacha. And that is why when we're giving classes, I didn't take any formality today, but because of the time factor. Even I like to pray to the Vaishnava. Vancha Kalpatari Byacha Kripa Sundubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanabhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo. Because we do commit offenses unknowingly. Yeah. So those two strategies are important.
Hare Krishna
Any
Maharaj.
other comments or questions? Yeah.
Yes. One question I wanted to ask you, since now we're off topic anyway, going to other topics, is in America, as you have probably heard, there's a lot of protests going on, Black Lives Matter protests. And although you're transcendental to the body, but being in a black body, what is your devotional take on it? Because I personally have experienced there is racism towards black people in this country. It is very blatant. It is very clear. So they are, they are correct in what they're saying. At the same time, there's a lot of friction, a lot of, the whole country is divided. So how do you see it from a spiritual perspective, and how can we see it?
Yeah, as a scholar of applied management and decision sciences, focusing on leadership and organizational change. I do understand that conflicts are bound to, occur in society. And I don't just take a back seat in terms of, discrimination. I even made a presentation at one of my webinars. I have some webinars that I'm doing as a professional. So I don't even put on the Vaishnav dress. So one of the webinars that I conducted on August 11th the theme was racial justice leadership. A number of professors were in that program. And after the program, at least I remember 2 professors who sent me a note saying, this is excellent, this is super nice. So we have a solution to all of these stuff. And not only blacks. In California, with the emergence of the COVID-19, Asians were being harassed with, racial slurs. Some of the cases, they resulted to, police reports. And so the major problem that I was mentioning, and I think that I may have to develop that talk into a research paper for publication in a peer-reviewed journal, because it's an alternative approach to racial equality. The major thing is that a number of people who are embarking on these programs, they may have a good idea, but in some cases the approach is not so favorable because there's so much of resistance. And then the resistance results to some friction or sometimes even killings. So I, as a neutral thinker, objectively, you see, I like to deal with topical issues. So I like to deal with topical issues. And one of my research in Vrindavan, I've been in Vrindavan since March, locked down by with the COVID situation. And I'm not just preaching, but I also use the time to conduct 2 researches. One of them is de-escalation strategies for COVID-19 financial fraud. Another one is understanding sonic therapeutic value in preventing financial fraud. What do I mean by sonic therapeutic intervention? I'm talking about chanting of the Krishna Maha mantra. So the point is that, see, some of you get to my website, bhaktivasudevaswami.com, or I have 2 websites, a professional website, which basically focuses on dealing with scholars or non-devotees, and my devotional website. So I'm like a guy who has two hats. One is a devotional hat, and one is a professor hat. So yeah, I have addressed this issue in one of my webinars. The bottom line is that the problem is caused by the leaders. The leaders themselves do not understand their pristine identity. The problem is that of identity crisis. People do not know who they are. Their original identity, they don't know. Someone is taken. See, you should realize why Prabhupada was very emphatic. Almost majority of the lecturers will say, you are not an American, you are not a European, you are not an Indian, you are not an African. You are seeing it, you are seeing this now. Bodily identification is the cause of all the problems. And except people can't have that higher understanding, it is very difficult to deal with discrimination. Because, go to Africa, even in one country, a pure black country, there is high discrimination, tribal discrimination, religious discrimination. Again, it boils down to identity crisis. So yeah, I have addressed this, and in the webinar, a number of people who attend the webinar, they really loved it. They liked it. Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
We will check out your website. Prabhu has
Yeah.
put it on the chat and further hear it. It was very helpful.
Please.
Thank you.
Go to the website and feel free to reach out to me, because I'm a liberal guy. I'm not a conservative Swami.
If we have more time, Brandy has a question on this topic. Brandy, would you like to?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I am very eager to re-listen to this audio. We're currently driving back from New Vrindavan, so we haven't been able to quite hear everything through the connection. But I'm glad that this topic was brought up, because I was just speaking with Miranda about this in the very same car ride, and I've been wondering for a long time, why are Krishna and Radha deities perceived or portrayed as white? So, because coming from India, you would assume that they wouldn't have just assumption-wise. I mean, it's something that I noticed myself, but you're laughing, so I'll just allow you to answer the question with your expertise. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
All right. Thank you for your question. Radha is, golden, and Krishna is bluish black. Now, Krishna has different manifestations. But Radha basically is molten gold or yellow. So, I mean, especially the idea that Krishna is also painted white, Radha is white. This is basically due to the different manifestations of the Lord. So if the Lord, basically, if we adhere to the original color of the Lord, he is bluish black. But there are other manifestations that are white, like I was reading also in the purport. In the Satya Yuga, the Lord appeared to Kadama Muni in response to his prayers and austerities in his white form. Okay, so the Lord is not limited by color. It's not limited by any color. You see, if Krishna is very smart, okay? Krishna appeared in India, but if he was just like appearing like every other Indian texture, Indians will easily claim him that, hey, he's our man, he's our boy, he's our son. But now he appeared bluish black. So you can't claim. The black people, they can't say, oh, he's our God. The white people, they cannot say, oh, he's our God. The Indians, they cannot say, oh, he's our God. Because even his original color is completely, you can't align with it. So he's very smart. But for the purpose of relating with people based on, the environment, the devotees may choose to have any manifestation of Krishna, whether they want to choose to have Radha Govinda or Radha Shamasundra. But the Radha is always whitish. But then the Krishna, they may choose anyone. I mean, even in India here, you go to different temples, the color of Krishna is different. They have different names. But if it is Samasundra, it's black, it's blue. Like we have in Vrindavan here. So yeah, he has different manifestations. And so that should not be so much of a worry. All right. He facilitates. He facilitates our easy approach to him, you know, so that we can identify with him very easily. Yeah.
I thank you, Maharaj. And it's just, you know, first coming to Krishna consciousness and meeting the deities and seeing the deities, it was something that I had wondered, well, why isn't he blue? so thank you so much for your wisdom, and it was such an honor to speak with you. Hare Krishna.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so are there any other questions or comments from anyone?
Well, yeah, I had a question. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
You spoke so many points. I was just trying to collect my thoughts around, like you talked about the different universes. And so one thing that came to my mind was obviously, you know, that Prabhupada mentions in the purport about 8.4 million species, right? And so maybe if you can throw some light around, you know, we also, through Prabhupada's purports, we learn that, you know, we as human beings have higher intelligence that we should use, right, in our spiritual journey. So a couple of questions. One was like, when we talk about 8.4 million species and we talk about human beings as having the higher intelligence who can differentiate over and beyond just the bodily aspects of life, right? And then in practical sense, if we have that higher intelligence, I just wanted to hear from you, like, how do we employ that higher intelligence in our day-to-day dealings? Especially like you mentioned, you know, as engineers, as Brahma being an engineer, and many of us I know on this call have engineering background. So we have to still work for our sustenance. We are engineers by profession. So we go to work, but how do we go beyond that mode of passion that we have to be in a mode of passion as well. Like you said, Brahma also is in mode of passion to be able to create something. So I was thinking from my own perspective, being an engineer, yeah, when I go to work 8 hours, I have to be in a mode of passion, but still as devotees, how do we not just be in a mode of passion, but maybe in mode of goodness or even transcend the modes in a practical aspect? Yeah.
So nice point you raised. So the modes of nature, the mode of passion, that's what is pretty in this material world. That's mode of passion keeps the world revolving. If there is no effect of mode of passion, we will not have all of these innovations. We will not have we will not have this, jet age technologies that have been developed. But the point is that we use this passion in serving Krishna. We use the effects or the results of the passion in Krishna service. And so, one of the things that we need to do is that we purify that passion in devotional service. How do we do that? We give some of the products of our passion, say our earnings. We give some percentage to enable the purification of our consciousness, to elevate our guna, our mode to a higher consciousness. We give some resources that we have acquired from this passion in the service of the Lord. And that helps, because you're talking about, mode of goodness, even Suddha Sattva. Yeah, it is by the service that we invest the products of our passion, say our resources, money or whatever, our technology. We invest some of those resources in the service of the Lord. And that helps to purify us. That helps to expedite the rate at which our consciousness goes beyond the mode of passion and gets into the mode of goodness. Because in the mode of goodness, we have a better state of mind, we have a better understanding, we have a better focus, and we have a better appreciation of what the Lord has made available for all and sundry. And we also, because we have appreciation for that, we are able to use the energies of the Lord in a very productive way for enhancing our future growth and the present development. So the one point there is that, again, it boils down to sadhana. One point is we should, before we go out to work, we should regulate ourselves. Self-regulation has to be there. You know, self-regulation is a basic principle even in emotional intelligence. Self-regulation has to be there. When we have self-regulation, means there's a specific time we need to go to bed. There's a specific time we need to rise up. There's a specific time we need to come back from work. There's a specific time we have to do certain things. I mean, the whole day, our 24 hours is very properly utilized. Why? Because if we don't utilize our 24 hours properly, at the end of the day, we feel morose, we feel uncomfortable, we feel unhappy. And those little bits of uncomfortability and unhappiness, they could build up cumulatively and cause us depression in the future. In other words, instead of rising from the mode of passion to the mode of goodness, we could go down to the mode of ignorance. And so it is important for us to have high self-regulation, and that will help to facilitate our sadhana, to raise our sadhana. And when we have a high sadhana, then basically we go into the field, but not part of the field. We are into the field, but we are very much aloof from the field. I mean, it's like the Lord. He's lying down on the causal ocean in the so-called material world, but he's not affected by it. So you become like a tiny Karan Vishnu who does not become affected.
Yeah.
Raising the consciousness through sadhana, that helps a lot.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah, I think completely makes sense. And yeah, like you said, being there but still not being part of it. Yeah, so that element of detachment, and I think only that comes through sadhana and once you are embark on the spiritual journey. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
All right.
Okay.
In the absence of any other thing, can we draw the curtain for today? It's past 11 now here.
Sure. Thank you so much. We really want to thank you so much for your association.
And you feel free to reach out to me next time.
Okay, we shall certainly do that. We will definitely take you up on that offer. And as you suggested, probably we can conclude by doing the Vaishnava Pranam mantra, and then we will thank you formally for the wonderful session. Okay. So if everybody can please unmute themselves, and then we'll do the Vaishnava Pranam mantra, and then following the Vaishnava Pranam mantra, we will thank Maharaj by chanting Hari Bol 3 times. Pancha Kalpa Tarubhya
Panchakalpatarubhya Kripa Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for such a enlightening and wonderful session. It was really, really uplifting and enlightening, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna. Okay, drive safely, Miranda Mataji. Hare